play the same type of game, not missing, and look for an opening. What they're doing is, because they don't have a knowledge of what goes on in the game over the long term, they will tend to be frustrated, swing away, and hope for the best. Now the game is over. They're unhappy. They shouldn't be. Emilio is the real problem. He should have been not gone out so rapidly with the first 3 or 4 shots. It was absolutely brutal nerves, and he paid the price for it.
Okay, Ruby, thank you very much.
Seeing now is the finals of the qualifying round. What that means is the team that wins this game will qualify to play in the Invitational Tournament, United States Handball Association Tournament, next Sunday in this same location. Morris Levitsky is the referee on the short line, and Rudy Rudell is the back referee. You're probably wondering what the function of the back referee is. His job is to make sure that the view of any particular player in striking the ball is not impeded. If that happens, he makes a call stopping the play, and then the play is done over. Morris Levitsky on the short line, his responsibility is to make sure that the ball is properly put in play. Even though there are many lines on the floor, the white line closest to the wall is called the short line. The player must put the ball in play by hitting the wall between the sidelines and then striking past the short line in the receiving zone, which is between the short line and long line. Sounds a little complicated, but as you watch the game unfold, if it goes outside those parameters, they will stop play. If the man doesn't put the ball in play correctly by hitting it outside the lines, he's out and loses the serve. If he fails to get it over the short line between the sidelines, he has a fault, 2 faults, and he loses the serve again. Once the ball is in play, each side alternates in striking the ball until someone misses. If the serving side misses, the second man on that team will get to serve, and when both of those men are out, the other team will serve. If the serving side should keep hitting the ball properly, and the receiving side in the back doesn't return it properly, that will be a point for the serving side. Again, sounds complicated, but just bear with it, and you'll see as the game unfolds how the points will add up. The fellow who's striking the ball, who just hit it over the long line, is Robert Sostre. Now, the team that's coming up is Benji Bretner, who have already won 2 previous matches, and his partner in red, Louis Bretner. Benji, as I said, is the steady player. Louis is the aggressor. He likes to go for shots. But I am going to make a prediction in this game. I think the back team of Robert Sostre and David Sheldon are going to win this match. David Sheldon is the son of Charlie Sheldon, longtime national competitor. And David, even though he's a fine volleyer, is more aggressive than Charlie, and I think that will make a difference. He's a very knowledgeable player in doubles. He looks at his partner's position, and he knows what to do with the ball. The man serving now, Robert Sostre, he's more like Emilio. He likes to whack the ball as hard as he can, but unlike Emilio, he's very careful in not missing. Because he's a former paddleball champion of the Budweiser tournament, which he won 5 out of the last 6 years, he has to be more precise, because with a paddle in the hand, any deviation makes the ball flying off the court. Just watch this wonderful style as he picks the openings. He not only is able to bring the ball back in an offensive fashion, but he also looks for the openings to make the definitive shot and the point. Look at the skill involved here. He pushes the Bretners to the long line, and then he moves forward when he has the opportunity. And see that? He didn't have the opportunity to go forward, so he keeps the ball in play. Look at his eyes, the intensity of his eyes, the way he watches each ball. He doesn't go for the bottom rollout. He only goes for the shot that's going to help his team win the volley in their favor. Benji and Louis look like they're in trouble already, believe it or not, even though David Sheldon missed that ball. Watch Benji and Louis. Look at Louis, he's already got his hands to his knees. He shook his head a little bit. He's already giving an exhortation to his partner, Benji. Benji is looking around, paying attention to the gallery instead of to the task at hand. The beauty of this match is Even though Benji and Louis won the last two matches and they should be really warmed up for this confrontation, whereas Sheldon and Sostre won their matches but were sitting on the sideline and perhaps cooled down. Look how the Sheldon-Sostre team has already established control. See, if you have a team sitting on the side and you're warmed up, you should make 3, 4, or 5 points right off the bat the way they did against Emilio. But that's not happening here.
They seem to be hitting it at the feet of the brothers over and over again. The strategy seems to be to try to hit their shoes with hard driving shots.
Believe it or not, David Sheldon is still trying to feel out the game. He usually brings the ball in play more, not to make mistakes. But there he already sensed that the Bretners weren't doing too much against him, so he correctly took a kill shot and made it. That's not typical at the early part of the game, which is a feeling out process. Well, Louis is trying to establish turf here too. But he gave the wrong serve. He just put the serve in play. What he should have done was try a low serve. Sheldon, for some reason, has missed 2 shots already, which is really not typical of him. But that won't bother him. In the preceding game where Malchus switched sides with Emilio, that won't happen here.
I wonder why he didn't hit that to the right. He had him blocked out.
Why who didn't hit it to the right?
Why Louis didn't try to hit a low shot to the right and had the other right.
You're asking a very intelligent question. When Louis feels good, he moves toward the center, even sometimes poaching on Benji's shot. And being a lefty, he drives that ball into the right corner. But now he senses that something is not right. He's barely going to fight for survival. And by fighting for survival, they tend to put the ball in the middle, and that's counterproductive to their winning chances. Louis has to get the serve it low at an angle, get his opponents off balance, and attack the wall and roll it out, put it in front of himself. And unfortunately, he's not able to put it in front of Benji because Benji has a tendency to stand back, so he doesn't act as a normal pick. That's what they should be thinking about. Benji putting pressure on the other team to force him back. Louis going forward. Oh boy.
Well, they have Louis all the way back.
See what happened there? He hit the overhand and he couldn't even hit it. That's amazing. I think we're getting into a little show business here. I think Robert Sostre feels very strong. Unfortunately, in doubles, that's not enough. You have to know what your partner is thinking, and you have to be in tune with his thinking. Here's one of the fundamentals of this game. The server, assuming they're playing 2 right-handers, should hit the ball to the long line, to the left hand of the player on the right. In other words, that would make the player on the left try and reach over, and since it's for the player on the right's weaker hand, you would tend to get a weaker return. That's a fundamental in this game. The second general rule that you should know about is, in doubles, everything up the middle belongs to the stronger partner unless he says yours. You're going to see if there's no communication here and they finally get into a situation where the points are critical. If they don't have that communication, they'll miss some easy shots not knowing why. That's a mistake by Robert Sostre. His job on this side is to keep powdering the ball, not to go for shots. Because if you go for a shot and miss, you frustrate your partner. That's precisely what happened in the preceding match. Emilio went for some fast shots at the beginning, then wound up missing. Malchus got upset, and then they went no place. Benji and Louis are both excellent retrievers. And added to that, Louis is also an excellent shot maker. But if he doesn't get the opportunity to shoot and his opponent just keep bringing the ball back, as Sheldon and his partner are, there's another problem in doubles. When you get 2 fine doubles players like Sheldon and Sostre, you have a problem of putting one of them on the alleged weaker side. And sometimes that could make that player do the wrong thing. If he keeps powdering that ball and gives a chance to Sheldon, they should do well. The next phase it is when they get the serve and Sostre is on the left, then Sheldon will complement Sostre's ability to get the setup and put the ball away. Sostre is not doing that. See, in my opinion, Sostre is the better shot maker than Sheldon. And with that in mind, he should actually stay on the left because David Sheldon has the ability to play the right side very, very well. But by putting Sostre on the right for those few brief volleys, that gets his timing right. You got to get the feel of the ball. See how well David does on this side?
Yeah, it's a beautiful soft shot.
Keep in mind, though, since this is the third match for the Bretners brothers, they're going downhill in concentration, not necessarily in stamina, because they can play all day. The other team, not being put in trouble in the early part of this game, is warming up very slowly, very nicely at an even keel, and they're going to be very difficult to stop. You see, even though that team missed, they're not getting excited. They're just staying right in the same groove. I thought that was out. But since the back man is calling the whole game and tends to doze off, as we all do, I'm really surprised for this important game they don't have linemen. See, they don't have the extraordinary ability in a case like that to lift the ball over the opponent's head to upset their balance.
Well, they're keeping it to Benji and keeping it to the middle, huh?
That's right. Well, Sheldon knows that instinctively. Robert Sostre, on the other hand, now he's moved over to the left where he should be. As he warms up about the 8th, 9th, or 10th point, he's going to be in total focus. And even if the brothers should score some rather rapid points, he's such a professional player that it won't faze him and he'll continue to make them. He overswung in that shot for some reason. Sometimes the lighting in here is not what it should be. Outdoors, where the lighting is great, he sees perfectly, he moves well.
How do you feel about that transition from racquetball, from paddleball to handball? The stroke is so different. Isn't that hard to make?
It's almost impossible to make the transition. The reason is if you're gripping that racquetball handle, you put pressure on the tendons on the opposite of your palm part of the hand. And that stress, when you're playing handball, that stress exists there. And as you try and stroke the ball, you tend to open your hand more, exposing the bones of the palm, putting pressure on the tendons on the back of the hand, and it's almost impossible to try and get the right feel of hitting this ball, which demands a cupped hand, a nice relaxed attitude in approaching the ball, and then at the moment of striking the ball, breaking your wrist, in other words, bringing your wrist forward to get the leverage and the power. Sostre seems to have mastered that to some extent, but it's very difficult to combine the two games.
It's quite amazing. He's cradling the ball. I mean, he's pretty good.
I must tell you this too, Matthew, that Robert Sostre is basically a singles player. And to play doubles, as I said before, takes a great deal of teamwork. But I still believe that their skill will be enough to beat Benji and Louis. Of course, most times when I make these predictions, I'll give you 33 reasons why one team will win, and 90% of the time, the other team will win. Notice how I'm hedging. But I'll still go with what I said. And it's all going to be up to Sostre, who ultimately will weaken these two players, frustrate them, and then go for the kill shot as he did there. That's what I see will continue to happen. This is the weakening, the softening up process of the Bretners brothers. And it happens about the 10th, 11th point. Notice he stroked that ball with his left hand. He put it right up the center. And now the Bretners, as I told you, their particular way of thinking is if they're ahead, they don't play hard because they think they won the game, and when they're behind, they think they're going to lose the game. And it's a terrible, terrible accusation to make, but it's based on the reality of what I've observed over many, many years.
And they always start out about 5 points down.
And I think they're wonderful players. but they're limited. And look at that beautiful shot, and what a great return. You see what's happening now. The tide is turning toward the aggressiveness of the Sostre Sheldon team, and it's turning toward the sheer defensive aspect of the Bretners. And that can't work. If Louis isn't shooting, you see what's happening? He's just hammering to the middle now. But Sostre has a game plan. He will ultimately see the shot. Now, hopefully Sostre won't go for a shot from the right side, because that would be a mistake. He may be tempted to. His job is just to keep the ball in play again. You see how Sostre was winding up with his left hand? That's no good. In anticipation of the shot, he's supposed to have his arm in a pendulum position, just getting the ball back, not winding up opposite hand and trying to put it away. Now, what we're attempting to do here is to try and get a lot of activity in the one-wall field by having this invitational tournament indoors during the off months. You see, one wall is basically played outdoors, and it's a function of the weather and everything else. So this tournament will serve a major purpose, as the former indoor tournaments did a few years ago. But what these men are attempting to do is to try and rise to a higher level. So by having a qualifying round, they don't enter the tournament and perhaps lose to the top-seeded team. What they're trying to do is first qualify in their own level of play, men who have the same skill levels, and work their way upward. And that's good. In the national tournaments held by the AAU and then afterwards by the USHA, the first round losers played in their own tournament afterwards, and it was called a consolation round. That is a tremendous idea. Instead of just looking at a blank screen, what I'll try and do is show the people on the sidelines, referees, administrators, and some spectators. You don't see many spectators today because it's a beautiful day outdoors. It's in the mid-60s and sunny. That's why we're indoors. We have a commitment to hold this tournament. Okay.
This guy Sostre is in some shape. I haven't been in shape like that in about 30 years, 33 years.
That's what I mentioned before when I said lean and mean. Benji is lean and mean, Louis is lean and mean, Sheldon is lean and mean, and Sostre is lean and mean. This is the epitome of really high-level play. The thing that's happened meanwhile is that they really don't get that much time to play. They all have their own obligations and responsibilities. In the old days, we played a lot more. We had the courts, we travel and play at different places, and that's how you get better. In a moment, I'm going to pan the camera after the next volley or timeout, and we'll see the back referee has been replaced by Albert Apuzzi. Albert is the driving force here, not only as a national champion, but as one of the coordinators of this tournament, and he does tremendous work, never takes the accolades, he always works behind the scenes, and is a wonderful force for the promotion of handball. They've just come out with some items that are for sale, calendars and things like that, which will help promote the sport even more. He himself has won the national doubles championships many times.
It's taken Albert, there he is.
And he won with Joe Dorso many times. He won with Al Torres, another top player in the doubles field. He doesn't have the high-level skill in doubles knowledge as Dorso does, but he brings a certain focus to the game. He gives it all he has. He gives his last ounce of energy. He plays every ball. He makes dives after the ball to make unbelievable retrieves. But in the ultimate analysis, being a purist of this sport, I take handball to its highest level, where not only knowledge of the game, but also physical fitness should combine to make the ultimate champ. I'm not taking anything away from a player like Albert. He is one of the high-level players in the doubles game. But as we noted before, the intensity of competition isn't as great as it used to be. But the bottom line is you still have to get on the court and you still have to walk away with the championship, and that's precisely what he's done. He's also a man who is a top player in one wall. He's also excelled in 3-wall and 4-wall. I can't say that for other great one-wall champions like Steve Sandler and Joe Bessa, who have tried those other games. It takes a particular skill, takes a particular dedication to the game. It takes the ability to go into different venues, 3-wall and 4-wall, take your lumps, but learn from it. That's what Albert has done.
I don't see that much power in Dave Sheldon, by the way. I mean, he swings with his arm. There's no body behind it, is he?
Dave Sheldon, to watch him, looks like he's doing nothing. But he played Paul Williams in singles, and Paul Williams is a powerhouse with either hand, 6'3", 240 pounds. If you saw the recent issue of the Handball magazine, he was on the cover diving into the